Hi, I'm Jessica Phelps with Jessica Phelps Photography.
Hi, I'm Heather with Brook Photography.
And we want to welcome you to the very first tutorial from shootabride.com. And our topic today is
how to get started in the wedding industry.
So first, Heather and I are going to take a minute to tell you guys about how we got started in the wedding industry. So Heather, you want to go first?
Sure. Well, about 3 years ago, my aunt had me shoot her wedding, and I was really into photography in high school and a little bit in college. I majored in journalism. And so she had me shoot a wedding. I had no clue what I was doing, absolutely no clue at all, nothing.
Scary.
So, yeah. And I was shooting with a Rebel, Canon Rebel, go Canon. She's an icon. Anyway, so I was shooting with a Rebel, and that's how it all started. After that, I started shooting portrait sessions, and then I got more and more weddings, and it just kind of happened.
And I got started because I bought my first Nikon. It was a D40, and I really got interested in photography. And Heather and I are from the same town, so I was Googling photographers around town here, and I found Heather, and I sent her an email, and she's been mentoring me and teaching me, and I've just been building my business ever since then.
Fabulous.
Awesome. So, the first thing we want to talk about today is building your brand.
Yeah, building your brand is very important. Some of the first things you need to think about when thinking about your photography business. I think it's very important that you lay out a plan, like your yearly plan. Me and my husband, we shoot together. His name is Pedro, and me and Pedro will get together maybe once a month because your plan obviously will change, and we decide, which route are we going to go this month, because I once heard a quote that said, if you do the same things last year, you'll have the same results this year. So I try to do different things each month to get my name out there and everything. But when you're first getting into it, you need to think about things such as your name, like what you want the name of your business to be.
And it's really important to check domain names first. You want to make sure that the name that you pick is available as a domain name. Like, I was lucky that jessicaphelps.com was available, but Heather, unfortunately, had a different result.
Yeah, since I started my company, technically when I was around 19, I had no clue about websites or anything. I mean, I was considered a techie, but I didn't know anything about that. And my company is Brook Photography, which is my middle name, and my website is just bbrook. And little did I know then that it would cause a whole bunch of issues because, one, people don't know how to spell Brook because there's an E, and two, there's just B Brook and they spell that wrong.
Or they leave the B out.
Yeah, they leave the B out. So you need to check your domain name to see if you have that name available. And the next thing you need to do is, once you purchase that domain name, purchase all the domain names that could go with it. So like on mine, since it's just B Brook, I bought just B-E Brook with no E. Like, I figured out all the ways that you could misspell it and then went ahead and purchased those, because later on, those are going to be very vital when people know your company and then they try to, put it into the search bar.
Especially if you're like me and have an altered spelling of your name, like Jessica with a K, Jessika. I, of course, bought the domain name of my first name spelled incorrectly because it's a very common mistake.
Yeah.
So that allows me to forward it to the correct domain name. That way that even if they type it in wrong, they're still going to get to my website. That's extremely important in our age, the digital age. Your website is going to be one of your very most important marketing tools.
Yes.
So that kind of leads us on to how you get started in the web. Once you have purchased your equipment, which we encourage you to do lots of research first before deciding on your equipment. But once you get your equipment or start taking some photos and you're ready to get to the web, we think it's important if you start first with a blog.
Yes. Blogs are very important, and I feel that a lot of people coming into this, I'm 23, well, going to be, so I'm 23, we'll just say that, and people that may be older starting out, like I have friends that are in their 40s that are starting out in the wedding photography business, because a lot of people change careers just like you, because you're an engineer. Well, they don't think blogs are important. And honestly, I didn't think blogs were that important either, but blogs are the way you're going to connect to your clients.
They're extremely important.
Yes, that's how they're going to book you based on your personality. They're not going to book you on your photos. It doesn't, I mean, yes, that has a little bit of what to do with it, but if they like your personality and, but here's an important thing. Don't try to be something you're not, because I've read this in Fast Track Photography by Dane Sanders, they will see right through that, and, it's hard to be something you're not 24/7. So if they meet you, they're going to be like, that's not you. That's not the you I read on your blog. And eventually you will have blog followers that follow your site. Maybe it's not to view your photos, maybe it's to hear your experiences. So if you have like something funny that happens at your shoots, talk about it, because people will ultimately read that in your articles. And I'm not very good about that, about the writing end of it, but it's something that I'm always trying to be working on.
Well, and people love to know which photograph you think is your favorite from the shoot. So a lot of photographers in their blogs will indicate which photograph is their favorite. So that's another good thing to do. So we feel like it's good for you to start with a company called Blogspot, because they're free.
Free, yeah.
And it's important to do free things when you can, because equipment is expensive. You should be spending your money on lenses and...
Keyword,
yes,
lenses.
Lenses.
It is not, okay, we got to stress this. It is not the camera you use. It is the lenses you buy for that camera. As long as I fully believe, my husband shoots with a Rebel, and I shoot with a 40D right now. And you can't tell any difference, because we use the exact same lenses. It's all about the glass. Like, and a lot of times people don't get that, and they realize that later on, and they spent all their money on this like really nice camera but have no lenses.
Exactly.
So you shouldn't do that. Like now I'm getting ready to upgrade to the 5D Mark II, which is fabulous camera, but at the same time, there's other lenses I need, and I'd rather spend, that $1, $2, $3 grand on lenses rather than an upgraded camera when my camera works just fine. And guarantee you can't tell the difference between a 5D and that. And there is certain circumstances where you would be able to, but for the majority, I don't see a reason that you would need to get top of the line professional grade camera right off the bat.
It's very important as a wedding photographer who's going to be working in all sorts of interesting, we'll say, lighting conditions, to have lenses that are appropriate for your lighting conditions, and that means fast glass.
Yeah.
So spend your money on the fast
and
glass.
We'll talk about that later on.
Yes. We'll have a whole tutorial all about lenses,
yeah.
And Heather and I will probably have to make our own for Canon versus Nikon.
Oh yeah.
The bitter rivalry. So back to blogging. Blogspot is a good place to start because it's free, and you can really learn